Adult Media, communicating impact for climate, nature, people, and development. New day, new inspiration. We join you on Baku Briefs each day, hearing from amazing change makers from across the world as they indulge us on the amazing work they are doing in their countries, with their communities, and definitely the actions for climate action and global solidarity. Patience, welcome to the stage. How are you first?
Thank you very much. I'm very good. So I'm good to meet people like you, very many activists, very many change makers in the world. I'm super excited to see them. However, it's not the same feeling with whatever is happening here at EACOP and how negotiations are being closed for us to really know what is going on. So it's double standard.
Yeah, well, I get it, and we'll get there, don't worry. But first, if you can tell our viewers who Patient is, our full name, organizations, which country she comes from, what she does back home.
Well, my name is Nabukalu. I'm a climate and environmental rights activist in Uganda. I work with Fridays for Future Uganda, Our World, and very many. I engage in collaborative actions and campaigns, and I also work with the Stop EACOP campaign. So, yeah.
And this amazing Patience. We've been following your journey, and you can see the kind of dedication that you have in climate advocacy and ensuring also support the youth movement in Uganda. Just out of curiosity, what pushes you to do this climate advocacy work as a young Ugandan?
Yeah, well, as a young Ugandan, I'm a real example of victim of climate change. I grew up from a place in my country called Nyatete, which was formerly a wetland, and the government sold it off for industrial purposes, capitalism and infrastructure development. Schools and all these things were put up in this place, and this is where me and my family used to stay. This is a place where my mom and my dad used to earn a living. And whenever it flooded, whenever it rained, our houses would flood, and the whole Natete area. That it was hard for people like me to go to school because these floods could block the road to my school. And besides that, my mom had a shop. We lived in a place behind. It's where we used to stay, and in front is where my mom used to work from. She used to sell grocery things like rice, flour. It was more like a grocery shop. But whenever it rained, all these things could be lost.
Soaked in water and all destroyed.
Yes. So we ended up, like me, I didn't go to school for some months because my mom could not have money to take me to school. Because my dad died in 2009. So I really had to help my mom, who is asthmatic. So whenever I trained, she had to be in bed. So I had to drain the water. I had to, stay home to support her, to help her. And growing up in this type of life, I didn't know about climate change. And we all know in schools, we don't have climate change on the study curriculum in our schools. But when I was in high school, I had more about the topic called climate change in geography. This pushed me so hard that I had to take geography again in my college to go deep into geography. It was one of my best subjects, but still I didn't understand the real problem we had in my family, because I really wondered, why is our area that we always flood? I really wondered why it's me and my family. I sometimes thought we are cursed, but it's because of the selfishness of my government, and also like the greed from international investments, because these places have been given out to Chinese to carry out constructions and industries in these places. And so after studying about geography, it's until 2020, during COVID time, I had more time on internet. I saw Hilda Nakabuye, I saw Greta Thunberg on the internet, and I related everything with my experience and my life, and then I reached out to Hilda, and I'm like, these are the things I've grown up seeing. I would want to join the rest of the world to fight against against climate change.
Wow.
And then it's in 2020 April, I took my first strike to join the rest of the world, to join the rest of the change makers in the world to fight against against climate change. And here I am now.
What?
So this motivates me so much to be who I am.
What an inspirational story. Patience, and thanks for trusting that with us.
Yeah.
It just makes me wonder, for people like you, for your communities, you actually living the losses and damages. You're living the climate crisis. You're living the flooding, the catastrophes. Do you see world leaders being intentional about climate financing, about negotiations? Do you even see the process of COP being an answer to some of these issues that you are facing back home?
First of all, my coming to COP, I had just two agendas, and one was climate finance, and the other was phase out of fossil fuels.
Yeah.
Because these are the things I relate to so much, not just me. We have seen very many countries, not only Uganda, not only my communities. We have seen, we have heard, we have read about very many countries that are being affected by the impacts of climate change, and yet they contribute to it. And in the same space, we see very many oil and gas projects happening all over the world, and still leading us to an escalating climate breakdown. And when you look at the decisions that made by global north leaders, when you look at these spaces that could have been used to make a change, to deliver, to save lives of very many people, are the same spaces where we are seeing oil companies being entertained on decision-making tables. We are seeing lobbyists being given red carpets, being given a chance to sit in these spaces where youth and indigenous communities or people, these are the steps they're supposed to take because they have the solutions. Youth and very many people have come up with very many statements that it's time now to see climate action. It's in these spaces we need to see climate action. And also still we have seen scientists saying it very clearly that to keep global warming under 1.5 degrees warming, there should be no new oil and gas projects anymore. And it's in the same season, or it's in the same time where we are seeing billions of dollars being invested in projects like the East African Crude Oil Pipeline, worth 3.5 billion. This is this at all times, and every time I'm here at COP, I don't have hope in this COP because I still see people who should make real change are left outside, and people who are leading us more into the climate crisis being given space, being given access, being given opportunities to speak, and also they're occupying the spaces these people should really be in. And
we need to kick them out for sure, right? Kick all polluters out and keep oil in the ground. And you've been a critical voice actually around the East African Stop EACOP campaign. And if you might just indulge us, like how the experience has been, what are some of the wins that you've registered, challenges as well, and what the global community can come on board to support advocates like you are really pushing for anti-fossil fuel investment in our region?
I want to make the first statement very clear that the East African Crude Oil Pipeline is not going to affect Uganda as a country. It is going to affect the whole world because this is going to be the longest heated oil pipeline in the whole world, stretching 1,443 kilometers. And I want to also remind them this project is to emit 34 million metric tons of carbon emissions annually at a peak production. And I'm just So like I don't know how to say I'm not happy with what is happening, because we have seen very many activists being arrested from because they're fighting against the East African crude oil pipeline. Just last week we had a hearing that was actually dismissed. It was postponed, meaning these people are still in jail. You know, so
And no justice served to
no
them yet.
justice served. And when you look at me and fellow activists like Hilda, we have really given our life, our families, our loved ones to fight against the East African crude oil pipeline. Because in my country, coming out as a climate activist, coming out against the East African crude oil pipeline is considered as a threat to the government, meaning there is political threats behind this whole fight. We are not fighting EACOP because we are activists. We are fighting EACOP because it's a danger to our community. Because once constructed, it is to displace 100,000 people from their homelands.
Goodness.
A third of this pipeline is passing through Lake Victoria Basin, which feeds over 40 million people.
All the way to Egypt.
So imagine, like, you're from there, you depend on Lake Victoria. In case of an oil spill in Uganda, the whole Lake Victoria, it's coming all over. And to Tanzania in Tanga, this oil is going to the global north. It will be shipped to the global north. So at the end of the day, people are profiting at other people's lives. People are profiting from the cost of vulnerable communities. And it's an imbalance that has to be closed. And also when it comes to Uganda does not need EACOP to develop. Uganda has potential in agriculture, tourism, fishing. These are all potentials of investment. Why should billions of dollars be invested in a single project that is going to benefit a few people? And global north countries are interested in making more and more profits and extracting more and more fossil fuels, because it's the order of the day. When you look at how much they're investing in Senegal, we saw the impact of oil of like Shell in Nigeria, in the Niger Delta. These are clear examples that EACOP is going to bring more harm than good. Because look at Nigeria in the Niger Delta. They have lost everything, and this is it's about to come to us. And we are fighting because we don't want to see such projects continuing, and yet at the end of the day they invite us to conferences like these ones, where we hope implementation in the phase out of fossil fuels, in issuing of committing to climate finance.
So amazing. And I just wonder, as you come to a close, how would you, or maybe you're already having it and kinds of global solidarity, how would you want many people across the world to show solidarity and support your Stop EACOP campaign?
Well, there are very many ways people can stand with the people, People can join us in the fight through campaigns, through standing in solidarity actions in their countries. And also, it's not about EACOP alone. Let us all have one voice. End to fossil fuels. Let us have these leaders accountable. Let the corporate companies that have caused the climate change impacts to us be accountable to their deeds. Let them pay back. And the only way they can show us that they are paying back is by committing to the climate finance, to loss and damage fund. These are the things we need to always have a universal voice and one voice for global solutions. Because when we look at EACOP is a clear example of fossil fuel extension. It's yet to be built, and it's a climate bomb in the making. How many projects are out there being discussed, being started up? These are the ones we need to halt. We need to stop all these new oil and gas projects.
Wow, amazing. Thank you so much, Patience. And lastly, I would want you to look straight to this camera and give us a word of encouragement that other patients who want to do more. Maybe they feel they don't have the energy, or they feel no one is listening to them, no one can support them. What word would you use to encourage them from where they are?
Well, I want to be very, 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 very clear. Activism works. Guys, don't be afraid. You know, like in my country, people are afraid to become activists, are afraid because the government thinks, or like, oh, we cannot do that because the government will arrest us, the government will do this. But the change we want will not happen by default. It needs us to be a part of it. Let us be the change. Let us contribute to the change we want. And I want, as I said earlier, activism works. For instance, I'm going to give a clear example of the East African pipeline. We have seen very many banks come out to finance EACOP. They say we are not financing EACOP anymore. We have seen insurance companies, over 27 banks, have ruled out. You know, insurance companies say we are not to insure EACOP, but if we did not come out against it, all these insurance companies, banks would maybe continue financing this project. We shall have a future we want if we are a part of the future.
Activism works. We shall have the future we want if we are part.
Impact.